Hi friends, welcome to Raising Lifelong Learners. I'm your host, Colleen Kessler, and this is the podcast where I encourage you to trust yourself and your differently wired kiddos as you help cultivate their curiosity, encourage them to discover the world around them, embrace who they are wired to be, all while helping them discover their passions, interests, and raise them to become the amazing adults they're meant to be. Hey, welcome back. This is episode 283. I'm so glad you're here. Today we are talking all about homeschool overwhelm. We are about to start the new school year, and I'm sure for some of you, like me, overwhelm is kicking in. We're going to tackle some of those myths, and I'm going to give you some easy peasy strategies that can help you beat that overwhelm and things to keep in the forefront of your mind to keep things into perspective as that overwhelm wants to take hold. So pop those earbuds in and let's get on with another great episode. Hey there. Okay, so it's actually really appropriate that we are talking about homeschool overwhelm, beating it, while I am in a season of complete overwhelm. If you're seeing some of the clips for this podcast episode, you are seeing me in an old t-shirt, my hair is a mess, and I am all over the place because life's just crazy. And I know so many people talk about how busy times are when our kids are little, and it's true. Times are so busy. We're on demand and on call all the time because our little kids can't do a lot on their own and they really need us. But big kids need us, I think, even more, and in ways that feel so different. We have bigger kids now. My youngest is 12, and we have a kiddo who's getting ready to go off to college. And there are so many things that pop up in the summer between graduation and going off to college it's just overwhelming. And we are typically year-round homeschoolers, which means we homeschool and take breaks off and on throughout the year. This has always worked for us because we have a couple seasons in our year, every single year, that are naturally slower and some that are naturally busier than others. So it allows us to take breaks when we need to so that we can be all in when we have more time. It's actually one of the reasons I designed the Learners Lab the way that I did. There is an entire archive of all of the different things that we've done throughout the years, all of the past master classes, all of the past classes and clubs for kids. So you can pick and choose and use it like a library of resources and lessons and activities for when you need more stuff to do because now you have time, but also a collection of things that you can let go of when your life is busier so that you don't feel guilty because you can always come back to it. So it's a true smorgasbord. You can pick and choose. And our homeschool is like that too. So right now we're in the summertime and my kids are doing a little bit of math, a little bit of reading, a little bit of writing every single day. They're doing their must-dos. But that gets dropped depending on what's going on. And it feels like this particular summer, the bridge between the end of homeschool for one of them and the beginning of college for that same kid is today we're dropping everything kind of lifestyle. And it feels a bit overwhelming. We have an older kid, a 16-year-old who is working a ton this summer. She's landed a couple internships and a volunteer position, so she's busy. And then I've got the oldest homeschooler, really, because my 22-year-old still lives at home, but he's on the homeschool. But my older kid of the kids that were homeschooling, my 17-year-old, is feeling nostalgic. So she's going through these times where she wants to get together with her friends and then also times she wants to spend with her siblings. And so today's a perfect example of that. And the reason, if you're watching video clips or watching this on a video platform, that my hair's a mess, my makeup is all rubbed off, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt because I'm so tired, but needed to get a couple episodes recorded. Today was a day where my 15-year-old, almost 16-year-old, was volunteering at the zoo, and I've been promising my 12-year-old we would go to pick her up early one day. We'd go early for pickup one day. and just bum around the zoo ourselves. In the last couple of weeks, it rained, so we haven't had a chance. And we decided to do it today. And my 17-year-old decided to come with us because, again, she's feeling a little nostalgic. So we just walked around in the heat and humidity for 3 hours, and we're just exhausted, just exhausted. And we had a great time. We got there about an hour before Logan was done with her volunteer shift. She joined us after her shift. So we had an hour, just the three of us, and then we had 2 hours, the four of us. We had ice cream. We stopped for Raising Cane's chicken strips on our way home. And now the three kids are continuing their bonding time and playing video games together downstairs. So it was a great day, but none of the math got done. The dishes didn't get emptied out of the dishwasher. The laundry's still sitting in the dryer and the washer. I have an entire hallway filled with just junk upstairs because we are deep cleaning and purging my 17-year-old's room before she goes off to college, deciding like what to store, what to leave in her room, what to pack up, and doing a really good, thorough deep cleaning. And then the other kids will be moving rooms. So it's just a disaster. Here's the thing. We are homeschooling parents who do the homeschooling thing. A lot of us do it year round because we have neurodivergent kids who need the structure and the expectation of knowing what to expect every day. Or we take breaks. It doesn't really matter, but we're homeschooling parents who have the weight of our children's education on our shoulders. And we're homeschooling neurodivergent kids, whether they are gifted, twice exceptional, on the autism spectrum, have anxiety, have ADHD, some kind of learning challenge, anything. They're differently wired. And that requires a little bit more of a specialized education. We have all of that just riding on our shoulders. But we also have the entire mental load of managing our family. So if you're like me and you've got a younger one, he's 12 going on like 10. So you got to manage him so he just doesn't gravitate to screens all day, right? Then you have a teen who's working, got to get her, but she's not driving yet. So you have to get her to work, pick her up, make sure she's packed her lunch. It's her first time working, so she's got to remember to check her email, do all the things she needs to do the night before so she's ready to go the morning of. And then you've got the 17-year-old who's in the middle of huge life changes. And then you still have the husband and the 22-year-old around the house. And you've got to make sure that there's groceries, both for packing lunches and for meals. You've got to do the meal prep. You've got to keep the things, cleaned. You've got to keep the kids moving on their chores. You've got all of the stuff that is required for managing a household. And you've got the weight of the educational responsibility, as well as the mental load for all of the other like relationship and relational issues that go on in your home. It can be really overwhelming. But I want you to remember as you're listening to this, I'm doing this episode actually in the summer for a reason. I want you to be ready to go into the school year knowing that you can do it, that you are enough, and whatever it is you get done in a day is exactly what you were meant to get done on that day. And you are never too far behind to catch up. And really, there isn't anything that you need to catch up. What you've accomplished is what you were supposed to accomplish, and it's going to be okay. I want you to go into the school year knowing that. So as we get into July and move forward through August and get ready to kickstart our homeschooling year, just refer back to this episode. I will do another one probably in February. That's okay. Let's check in now because we get overwhelmed again in February. But right now, there's so many things you're trying to figure out. You're trying to make sure that your kids have the summer that they need to have. If you've got a kid going off to college, you're making sure that they have all the things that they need. You're making sure that you have all of the curriculum that you need for your kids that are going to be homeschooled still. And if you've got little ones, you're making sure you've got like all the centers prepped and all of the busy bags and all of the activities and then the co-op classes. And if you're going to be teaching co-op classes, you've got those too. There's so much that can trigger overwhelm when you are a homeschooling parent, especially when you are also the default parent. And most of us, let's face it, are homeschooling parents, are homeschool moms who are the majority of the listening audience. Those of you, the few homeschool dads that listen, I do hear you and I do see you too. And if you are a homeschool dad who is actively homeschooling, you're probably feeling some of this too. But the vast majority of my audience is homeschooling moms who are doing the brunt of the homeschooling and the brunt of the mental and physical labor and emotional labor of the home. So you're you've got a lot of things that trigger this overwhelming feeling. One of the most common ones is decision fatigue. You're just always making decisions. You are making decisions and making plans and creating the pathways towards what curriculum your kids are using, what chore schedule they're on, how much screen time they can and can't have, what friends they can and can't see, when they can see their friends, what they have to get done before they see their friends. Do they need clothes? Have they outgrown certain ones? Do they need a new pair of shoes? Can they get by another year with a new pair of shoes? We just had a conversation about getting a new comforter for the dorm versus the one that's only a couple years old that is very similar to the new one that she was looking at. Like figuring out what really matters, the methods you're going to use with your homeschooling and the methods you're going to use with your parenting and your relationship with your kids. How are you going to connect with your kids? We just did a whole month in the Learners Lab about connection, and that challenge is still live in there. If you want to join and the archives of the free challenge, if you want to see those, just shoot me a message. Over on the show notes, there's a link to my email address, my contact form. Shoot me a message and I will give you the sign up link and you can jump in and at least go look through it and try some of the challenges that were there. But you can also just join in the conversation because it's a free space in there. But connection's so important. Are you connecting enough? Did you spend time with each of your kids this week? Oh my gosh, I missed one because she's so quiet and compliant. How did I do that? I need to make sure that I spend time with that one. And then when you have neurodivergent kids, you have to throw in specialized education. You have to throw in therapies, maybe multiple medical appointments, reevaluations each year, IEP meetings if you're doing IEPs through the school system to get programming or services outside of the school system if you need it. There's so many different things that come up and contribute to this fatigue, mental, emotional, and decision fatigue that we feel as parents who are homeschooling neurodivergent kids. There's also an overwhelm kind of trigger that comes from the comparisons we naturally do when we are looking at families who are either traditionally schooling or are homeschooling neurotypical kids. They have very different experiences than us. I have a friend whose kids are neurotypical and I love them to pieces. There have been so many times over my homeschooling career that I have been like, oh my gosh, I wish my kids were just like that because they get so much done. They get so much done. They just have their checklists, they do their schoolwork, there's no arguing, and they get it done and they get decent grades on it. And when mom tells them what the chores are that they need to do before they can go out to play or meet up with a friend, they do it. And I've got arguments and I've got slippery kids who disappear or claim they're doing one thing when they're doing another, or like reprogram. One of my kids years ago figured out how to create a like green screen kind of effect to clone themselves before AI technology was as readily available as it currently is, so that when they were sitting in one of their live online classes, they could put up the clone as a Zoom background and it looked like they were there when they were off camera doing something else. So my kids are slippery, and maybe you're feeling some of that too because your kids are not neurotypical and they're like pushing the envelope in unique ways, or they're just melting down because they're overwhelmed as well. And so it gets difficult. And then there have been times, I will admit it, throughout the years when I was like, oh my gosh, I just wish that I could send my kids to school because I could get all of the work that I need to get done, which is why I'm filming this in bad lighting with my hair a mess and a sweatshirt that says smile on and no makeup on my face, because we have the time we have whenever we have it, and we've just got to grab it when we're homeschooling. And if I was traditionally schooling my kids and sending them off to school, I'd have 8 hours to get my work done, to straighten the house, to get meals on the table, and it'd be a little bit more, I'd be overwhelmed in different ways, but it feels like it'd be more manageable to grow my business, to do more coaching calls because I have to severely limit them right now. And the requests for coaching far surpass my times available, though I am opening up some more options coming in the future. So if you're one of those who has landed in my inbox and haven't heard, I will be sending out some emails soon about some openings that I have, and then some group options so that you can get the help that you need, the service that you need. But it's just difficult, right? When we're homeschooling and parenting atypical kids, to fit all that in. We also feel overwhelmed oftentimes because there's this myth of the perfect homeschool day. And we build it up in our brains and our imaginations about what that perfect homeschool day looks like. And so we're constantly setting ourselves up for failure. There's no way we can achieve perfection. We are dealing with challenging kids. And those challenging kids have all sorts of different things that they have on their own agenda for the day that don't always match up with what we have. And so we need to let go of perfection and remember that a lot of days are going to look like our must do's. My must do's, like I said, are reading, math, and writing. And as long as we do a little bit of that each day, then I feel like we've accomplished something. Another thing that contributes to this feeling of overwhelm is the intensity that our kids have. I have many articles on the website all about intensity in neurodivergent kids and especially in gifted kids. And so I will link those in the show notes. So make sure you go over to the website and check it out, raisinglifelonglearners.com/podcast, and you'll find it on the show notes for this episode. But our kids are behaviorally, emotionally, intellectually intense. They have super high highs, super low lows, big feelings, big expectations. They perseverate when they're focused, hyper-focused on a specific, topic or project or activity, and they don't want to stop, and they get agitated if they stop or if they build something up in their brain. One of my kids today at the zoo had we were all four of us playing in the natural playground. And it's like all this like mulch and dirt and plants and sticks and building things and water features. And we were running around and every one of us fell at one time or another. And one of my kids got mulch inside their clothing and it was very uncomfortable. When I asked as we were walking what was going on, this particular child just burst out, "I told you I have mulch in my clothes." And when they went into the restroom up by the playground area, all of the stalls were full, so they just washed their hands and went out instead of waiting because they figured they could just get by with it or whatever. But then as we were walking towards the front of the zoo, they realized how uncomfortable they were, and they burst out at me very angrily and agitated. And I said, "Whoa, I'm not arguing with you and I'm not yelling at you. I'm concerned because you look very uncomfortable." And then the story came out about how they didn't actually get the mulch out of their clothing when they went into the restroom because they couldn't go into a stall and lock themselves in. And so I said, "Okay, let's go to the restroom right now. And I'll be there. And if there is not a stall available, I'll wait with you for a stall." And so we solved the problem. The mulch was removed from the clothing and everything was fine. But the intensity of the physical feelings of discomfort, as well as the emotional anguish of feeling that discomfort and being overwhelmed with not knowing what to do, was very triggering for this particular child in this moment. It didn't help that it was incredibly humid and it was close to 90 degrees. And we had been there for 3 hours on the black asphalt, walking around and playing and running in the mulch. And so you just never know what's going to trigger one of your kids. And so this can then trigger you, and it can be very difficult. And then finally, one of the biggest things that can trigger this overwhelm in us is the executive function struggles. And I'm not just talking about the executive function struggles our kids face, but I'm talking about the executive function struggles we as parents face. The neurodivergent apple doesn't fall far from the neurodivergent tree. It just doesn't. So if we have one or more neurodivergent kids, we have one or more neurodivergent parents, and that often translates to everybody struggling with executive function in different ways. And remember, executive function isn't about planning. It's about planning and prioritizing and starting and then keeping going and being resilient and about regulating emotions. It's all of those things. So when we struggle with executive functions, we struggle across the board. We struggle globally, and that can trigger us. It can trigger them. We can trigger each other, and it can be very difficult. I want to make sure in doing this episode that you know overwhelm is normal. Overwhelm is normal for parents of all shapes and sizes and ilks and ways of life. Overwhelm is totally normal for homeschooling parents and expected because they're doing the parenting and the homeschooling. But oh my gosh, overwhelm for homeschooling parents of neurodivergent kids is expected. This is normal. You will feel overwhelmed at times. You are not alone. Don't ever feel that everybody around you has the perfect homeschool and you don't, because we are all struggling at one time or another, which is why community is so important, because we can find somebody who's not struggling when we are, and vice versa. We can be there for somebody who's struggling when we're not struggling. It's so important to find others who are in the same boat as you. Hey there. Okay, you've heard me talk about CTC Math for a long time, and I've been sharing testimonials from other people about it, but I want to share my own right now because it's been a while since I've talked about how we're using CTC Math. CTC is an amazing sponsor. They support our work here at the podcast. They actually sponsor a lot of different homeschool businesses and magazines and events because they're so committed to making sure that the homeschool resources you have at your fingertips are available to you, that you have access to what you need when you need it. I love CTC Math for that part of who they are, but I also love CTC Math as a customer. I have been a paying customer for years and years. My kids are using it in very different ways, and this is what I want to talk about. I've talked before about its adaptability, but let's talk about this. I'm 16 years into homeschooling. This is my 16th year, and our kids are using it very differently. I've got one kiddo who's very advanced in math. That kiddo is a grade level and a half ahead, and I have their level set to mastery at 90%, meaning they have to get 90% or above to move on to the next set of math problems, because that child doesn't have to speed through it. They're already a year and a half ahead. And so I want them, if they're going to continue to accelerate, I want them to accelerate with deep understanding. My other kiddo who's currently using it is right on grade level, maybe a couple lessons behind. And so that kiddo's mastery is set at 80%, because I don't need that kiddo to understand every single section and get every single problem right. I need that kiddo to understand the big picture of the concepts, get at least a B's level of work done so that they can move on to the next level, because that particular kiddo is probably not going into a mathy career, but they need the basic understanding. CTC allows the flexibility to do that. If you've got a kiddo, say in late elementary school, who is absolutely brilliant in math and can skip ahead to some high school level math, your subscription includes all the way up to calculus. You don't have to wait. You don't have to buy multiple levels of programs. If you've got a kiddo who you hit a snag and you realize, oh my gosh, we missed that section when we were learning third grade math, and now we've got to go back to do it. You don't have to go out and buy a third grade math workbook. You just go to the section in the third grade math program level and have your kiddo do that. How flexible is that? You have every level from kindergarten all the way to calculus at your fingertips for a very affordable price. Check out ctcmath.com. If you go over to the show notes and you click on the link, it will give you whatever the current discount or special they're offering Raising Lifelong Learners listeners, and you can check that out and take advantage of that. I so appreciate CTC. I know you're going to love it, and if you don't, they have a money-back guarantee, so you really do have nothing to lose. If you have any questions about CTC, you can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer those questions. All right, let's get back to today's episode. Okay, so what can we do about this overwhelm? I think the very first and most important thing that we can do when it comes to beating overwhelm as a homeschool parent of neurodivergent kids is we need to reframe what success looks like. What does a successful day look like? It is not getting all of the boxes checked off. It is not doing all of the things. It is not having perfect compliant kids. It's just not. We are homeschooling our neurodivergent kids because we know that compliant, sit down, look straight ahead, do your work, turn it in atmosphere of the school system is not what's going to work for our kids. We shouldn't expect it to work for us at home. We're going to need to look different, and we're going to need to possibly look different day to day, year to year. And so we want to make sure that we remember that success is not the same as perfectly planned and executed lessons. It's not the same as doing all of the pages in a workbook. It's not the same as doing math every single day and writing beautiful prose by the time we're in like 6th grade or whatever, having beautiful handwriting. We want to remember that success is making progress. It's growing and learning and changing and maturing and improving day after day. It's connection. It's connecting with our kids so that we know deeply, passionately, and viscerally who they are, what they need, what they're doing, and what we can do to support them. It's about taking the time to find ways to connect with them every single day, even if that's just a quick hug, a quick high five, a hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you all day. Everything good? Hey, good night. I love you. Oh, good morning. I'm so glad to see you. Any of those things. Success is also curiosity. We want our kids to learn and be lifelong learners. We want them to know that there's always something new they can learn. There's always new improvements they can make. There's always something to be curious about. There's always more they can do. I'm working right now on a couple of products, journals and planners, as well as new unit studies. And I am really pushing my knowledge. I'm pushing the envelope of what I've been able to accomplish before. And one of the journals, I talked about it in last week's episode, is live in my Shopify shop right now. I'll link to it in the show notes. It is a big feelings, big emotions, big feelings. I don't have it in front of me right now, so I forget. Like big feelings, big emotions journal. It's a journal about like possibilities, thinking big thoughts, being creative, all of those things. And I'm loving the way it's coming out. I can't wait until it's available as a print book. Right now it's only available as an ebook for you to print it out or take the file to Staples and have them print it out and bind it. But I love the way it turned out. And I'm so proud of myself, but I learned more in this process than I have in any other project I've worked on so far. And so I want my kids to know that too, that I'm constantly learning and they can too, because that growth is what success is. Knowing that you can always be a better version of yourself is what we want our kids to know. I'm 51 years old this year, and I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out health things. I'm like making myself a healthier person. My skin has never looked better. I found a great routine that works for me. I'm staying very loyal to it. I'm making sure that I do my skincare in the evening and in the morning, and I was always terrible about remembering. I'm getting up, I'm moving first thing in the morning. I could probably improve my exercise a little bit more. Okay, I could definitely improve my exercise a lot more than I currently have it going at right now, but I'm doing little bits. I'm eating better. I'm doing things to make sure that I've got years and years left with my kids. I still have 6 or 7 years with one of my kids homeschooling. I've got 3 with my other one. I've got one who's going off to college to study a BFA in musical theater, and I know she's going to be in shows, and I want to be able to take my younger kids and travel with them to go see her in shows. I want to be healthy, so I'm learning and growing, and I want my kids to know that just because I'm in my 5th decade, it does not mean I've stopped learning. I'm doing research on how to be a better person, physically, mentally, emotionally, and I want them to do that too. So make sure that we're focusing on progress, connection, curiosity, and growth with our kids. When we are doing this, like I talk about in my book, The Homeschool Advantage, A Child-Focused Approach to Raising Lifelong Learners, we want our outlook within our homeschool to be child-focused. One of the best ways to overcome that overwhelm is to keep our kids and their needs at the forefront when we're thinking through our reactions and what we're choosing to do with our homeschool and our parenting. Is this what's best for kids? Is this what's best for our family as a whole? That child-focused approach to the things that we do makes sure we preserve the relationships and their hearts, because we can always catch up on academics, but we can never catch up on that broken heart, or it's going to take a lot longer and a lot more repair. So make sure that you're really focusing on that child that's in front of you. Like I talked about in the Learners Lab, we have that buffet approach, that smorgasbord approach too. Here are the archives for all of the past resources and classes. If you need to work on this specific emotional and social skill, you can download the stuff that we worked on at that time when that theme was the month's theme. And if you just want to do the live classes for this month because you're working and connecting as a family, our theme for July is summer fun. We'll be just talking about different ways that we can continue to connect with our kids, make summer fun, while throwing in a little bit of sneaky learning on top of it. And you can just focus on the live stuff for this month. That's fine too. So just make sure that you and your kids are really loving on each other and making sure that they know what it is they need to do and that you're there for them. And you're giving them this buffet. They have their must-dos, the reading, the writing, and the math, or whatever it is that's your must-dos. And then the rest of it is this like buffet style. What is it you're passionate about? Let's go find more information out about that. That's going to help your kids be really focused on the things that they love and they're passionate about. And it's so interesting because I know that parents worry about their kids having gaps, but the truth is everybody has gaps. There are some, okay, so my daughter who's going to study musical theater was never going to be a scientist or a mathematician, and she has gaps in those areas. But she has the knowledge to be able to go find the information that she needs whenever she needs it. My other daughter is very into conservation and animals and knows a ton about animals I'd never even heard of. She was talking about a specific kind of porpoise today that I've never heard of, and I looked it up. It's very interesting. If we give them the opportunity to pursue their passions, they're going to blow us away with the things that they learn. The other, I think this is, okay, so this is a couple of years ago, I created a course about homeschooling neurodivergent kids. It's getting ready to undergo a complete revamp. Sneakily, you could still buy it and have the recordings of the course, which it's a great course. The sneaky part is it's a really low price right now. And part of the deal with purchasing the course is you get the future upgrades to it. So if you bought it now, I think it's like $57. I'll link to it in the show notes so you can take a look. But it's a good, solid course. It was created, 5 or 6 years ago. But it's going to be a great course when later this summer I redo it. And it'll be a lot more because there's going to be a lot more in it. In any case, one of the first sections in the first module is identifying the why. Why are you homeschooling these neurodivergent kids in the first place? Because you're certainly not taking the easy road. It would be infinitely easier to send them off to be somebody else's problem for education during the day. It just would. We can't lie about, you'd have other problems. They'd be getting in trouble. You'd be called up to the principal's office. They might be getting suspended. They might be bored. They might not be getting their needs met, but you'd have time during the day. You are giving up all of that. So why? For me, one of the main whys to homeschooling my kids in the first place was because I knew in my gut that I could give them a personalized, prescriptive education that was tailor-made exactly for the person standing in front of me, and nobody else could do that. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but I knew it was going to be the best thing for them. It was going to help them develop stronger relationships with each other, with me. We'd be able to do a whole bunch of things that they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. And I was going to be able to tailor their education to exactly what it was they were interested in, they wanted. So why did you homeschool in the first place? Did school fail your kid and you were trying to save them? Remember that when you're overwhelmed. This is better. A bad homeschool day is better than the best public school day for that kid that had trauma in public school. The worst homeschool day you could ever imagine is still better than the best private school day where they're still one of 35 and are bored in class. And that would have been my case. So remember your why. Why are you doing this? Because when you take a break, focus on the progress, focus on the connection, focus on the kid in front of you, have an eclectic buffet style so they can go do something else, and remember why you did it. You're going to be able to talk yourself down from the overwhelm and then keep going again and again. Okay, let's talk some really nitty-gritty, simple, practical ideas you can use when you're feeling overwhelmed right now to just get you through so then you can go refocus on your why. Because sometimes in the midst of all of that, it's not enough to think about your why. You're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Okay, simplify. Use the rule of one thing. Just choose one thing. Just choose one thing. You're overwhelmed. You can't do another thing. Choose one. Let's just do math. Just finish a math lesson, check in with me, show me what you accomplished, and we're going to be done and we're going to go for a walk. One thing. Prioritize one thing. Maybe throw the math book away for a little while and go for a walk. Prioritize. Maybe your one thing is connection that day. We're all disconnected. We're all over the place. We all hate each other. Let's connect. Let's go for ice cream. Let's have ice cream for dinner and go for a swim. Whatever it is, prioritize one thing. Just simplify your day and get yourself out of the overwhelm. Another practical strategy is to prioritize connection over content. So maybe you're sitting there and your plan for the day was to do an owl pellet dissection and your kids are just all over the place. They don't want to do it. Okay, connection over content. You were going to go through and look at the anatomy of the prey that the owls eat. Why don't you just pop on a video from YouTube or Curiosity Stream about owls and snuggle in on the couch with popcorn? Connect. So you're watching a movie about owls instead, whatever. Prioritize that connection over the content because that's going to help get you through. Another strategy is that you could design your homeschool around your kids' strengths. Where are they strongest? Maybe they're theater kids. So design your homeschool around the outside. Theater classes, voice lessons, dance classes, show rehearsals, whatever. And fit in the academics in between. Maybe your kid's passionate about animals. Design your homeschool around trips to the zoo, nature walks, talks with naturalists, visits to national parks, whatever. Unit studies about different animals because you can incorporate science and history and geography and writing and reading. So design your education around your kids' strengths. Use flexible routines instead of rigid schedules. Maybe that's what you all need. You need to be flexible. You need to have a routine. We eat breakfast first before we do anything else. We clean up the kitchen. We read a little bit, then we do some math, then we do some science, then we go for a walk, then we have lunch, then we have free time, whatever. It doesn't matter if it takes you an hour to do math or 2 hours to do math, science comes next. So you can create a routine instead of a strict schedule. You can also create like rhythms and anchors. So maybe you have your rhythm to your day is you're not morning people, so you take it easy first thing, and then you have your morning basket, which anchors the start of your homeschool, and then you have a song at the end of whatever your homeschool time is or whatever, so that you know that it's over with and you're going to move on. Figure out something that anchors you to certain parts. So, for example, my youngest we were just at a doctor's appointment and he's having trouble remembering to do a few things like supplements and things like that. So the doctor's like, what do you do every single night before you go to bed? And he's like, brush my teeth. And she's okay, have a half a Dixie cup of water with your supplements. Then put a stack of the cups by the sink where you brush your teeth. So you remember to get your half a cup of water and your supplements right there. And he's been doing it. He's been doing it great. So anchor what you need to do to get you out of your overwhelm to something that you're doing anyway, so you don't have to overthink it. You can delegate and automate wherever possible. Delegate meals, chores, automate your grading if you need to, or your transcripts if you've got high schoolers and you're writing transcripts. Even your meals, your meal planning, or your grocery shopping, you can automate way back. Okay, so we use Instacart, and Instacart, like most people know what Instacart is now. There was a time when Instacart was like just coming out and it was brand new. And you had to put in your zip code to see if they even served your area. And I would put my zip code in every couple of days to see if they were serving our area yet. And the day that they started serving our area, I was so excited. I just celebrated and, of course, placed a grocery order. That was years ago. That was years before the pandemic. And I've been using Instacart ever since. It does not save me money. Instacart does not save, well, okay, so probably in the long run, it does save me money. Like I'm paying for the subscription to avoid fees. There's debate whether it's marked up a ton, marked up a little, whatever. Here's what Instacart saves me. Instacart saves me time. I don't have to drive to the store, buy my groceries, load my car, drive home, unload my car, put my groceries away. I have 4 kids. I've been homeschooling them all along while working from home and doing a lot of stuff. And so Instacart automates the grocery shopping for me. In fact, our grocery list is almost the same every week. Blocks of cheese, fruits, vegetables, certain breads that we like, certain lunch meats that we like, a thing of thin sliced pork chops that I usually cut up to make pork fried rice. We have whole chickens that we get from a farm, so one of my meats is a chicken. I get a thing of ground beef. I get a family pack of boneless, skinless chicken breasts and rice, and then maybe a couple other things thrown in. But I pretty much reorder the previous order every single time. Again, it's automated. We have, usually in the cooler months, I will make one day during the week, I will make in my Instant Pot a whole chicken, and we will eat the chicken with mashed potatoes or like fried potatoes and a vegetable. And then the next day we'll have soup made from the leftover chicken, some vegetables, and the broth that I made because while we were eating the chicken dinner, I threw the skin and the bones and everything back in the Instant Pot, covered it with water, a splash of apple cider vinegar, and made broth. So that's 2 meals right there. And then I make some kind of like Asian or Korean or Mexican beef bowls with cut up vegetables, rice, possibly beans, and the ground beef. And then I make the pork fried rice I always double my rice. So I have extra for pork fried rice the next day. And then we do that. And then I use the chicken breasts for 1 or 2 meals. And we either have like chicken bowls, chicken stir fry, or like thinly cooked chicken breasts. So it's the same thing all the time, but it's automated. It saves me time. And then I delegate other chores. Isaac always empties the dishwasher. Logan pretty much always fills it. The kids all do their own laundry. Okay, so theoretically they do their own laundry. It doesn't always work. But delegate and automate wherever possible. And build in decompression space for the whole family. So I'm recording this late, like I said before, bad hair, no makeup, frumpy sweatshirt. Because when we got home from the zoo and got home from driving through Raising Cane's to get chicken strips and fries to bring home, I was heated out. I was overheated. I was tired. I was drained from the heat and the humidity. And I was also peopled out. The kids, I love my children. My best day is to spend with them, whatever they want to do, wherever we want to go. But they can talk and talk and talk. And so I just sat in my office with my Spindrift and some chips, and they decompressed. They're downstairs playing video games together because they were overheated and tired, but they still wanted time together. So build in decompression time, whatever it is you need. Start small, layer things in. This is the best advice as you're getting started in your homeschool year. Instead of overwhelming yourself by having a day where you start everything, start small. Start with 1 subject. Do 1 subject for a couple of days. Layer in another. Do 2 for a couple of days. Layer in another. Do 3 for a couple of days. Layer it in over the first couple of weeks because you've got time. And then say no to what's not serving you right now. You don't have to keep doing it all. You just don't. If something isn't working for you, stop doing it. Just stop. This is why my kids are doing their own laundry right now. I just stopped. I started doing my own and the towels and the sheets. And I told my husband, you're on your own. Because he would go in and he would move things because his stuff was in it too. And then he'd end up drying something that wasn't supposed to be dried. So I'm like, don't even touch it. You do yours, I'll do mine. The bigger kids do theirs, and usually I'll help the 12-year-old. But mostly he does his own as well. If you're out of clothes, that's your problem. You could have done your clothes. You could have done laundry. So stop doing what's not serving you, whatever that is. Here's the thing. You are the parent your children need. They are the kids you need. You have exactly the right kids for you, and you're exactly equipped to give them everything that they need. I promise you, you're the perfect parent for your kids. You're not failing. You're doing hard things with love. I promise. Remember that. You're not failing. You're doing hard things, and you're doing it with love. Homeschooling your neurodivergent kids is a loving, loving choice. They can grow socially, emotionally, and academically so much more quickly, efficiently, and safely than they can in a school setting. And you're giving that opportunity to them. You should be really proud of yourself. I promise you. Homeschooling is so much more than just academics. It's love, it's connection. If you want a reminder of this, I really recommend that you pick up my book, The Homeschool Advantage, A Child-Focused Approach to Raising Lifelong Learners, or jump in the free space in the Learners Lab. There's a free community in there so you can get a taste of what we do. Like I said, the connection challenge from last month is in there. We have conversations going all the time in there. And then when you're ready, join us in the lab. There's lots and lots of opportunities, including group coaching calls every single month. So we'd love to have you. This is not something you need to do alone, but I want you to remember that you're doing a great job either way. Homeschooling is a long game. You're going to have a lot of days where you feel overwhelmed. You're going to have a lot of days where you feel like this just isn't working, but I promise you it is. There will be a time that your kids will show you that you made the right decision. They may never tell you. They may even say, I wish that you had sent me to school. But you'll be able to tell based on the people that they are and the relationships that you have. Remember, you don't need to do it all. You just need to remember what matters most, why you're doing this in the first place, and that your kids are the perfect kids for you and you're the perfect parent for them. I'd love to see you in the Learners Lab. We are there for your support and to support you, and we are all in there together as a community. I promise you, you won't regret jumping in and joining us. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy your kids. Have a great week. Enjoy them. Have fun. Lots and lots of summer fun. If you start to feel overwhelmed, shoot me a message. Jump in the conversation in the free space in the lab. We are here for you, and I'm so proud of you. I'll be back same time, same place next week with another episode. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.